So this year I've been trying to get back into running again. I got myself a pair of Nike Pegasus running shoes at the beginning of the year, and they were great. I ran hundreds of miles of them, and I was planning on hundreds more until I went on a trip to Colorado, tried to dry them over a fire, and ended up melting them. Oh, I thought I could dry them out, but they're toast. Goodbye, Hokas. Oh wait, you know your Nikes. Nike Odysseys. Well, that sucked. But anyways, shortly after that, I was taking a trip to California to see my girlfriend's family, and as it turns out, I didn't have any shoes. So on the way back from the camping trip, I had to make a quick stop at an REI, where I picked up these Hoka One One Rincon 2's. Since then, I've run about 350 miles in these shoes, and I'd love to share my take on them with you. So anyways, I'm going to review these shoes on a handful of criteria, and for me, the ones that matter are softness, stability, day-to-day usability, so how do they transfer from one sport to another, and then finally, I'm going to go into a wear and tear analysis, so how they held up, not good, and also, finally, am I going to buy them again rating. Are they good for someone like me? Is this a shoe I'm going to look out for year after year? So anyways, let's get into a review of the Hoka One One Rincon 2. So first, let's get into softness. Hokas, in general, are great for that. I have sensitive feet, and I think a lot of people that choose to run in a Hoka do. And this is my second pair of Hokas, so I came into this with fairly high expectations because I liked my first ones. And I can say that they feel like a Hoka. They're not trail running shoes by any measure, but if I'm running off-road, for instance, if I'm running over roots or some gravel, I'm not really going to feel that underfoot because this thick sole soaks up a lot of that impact. It soaks up so much impact, for instance, that if you actually look at the insole, which I'll get to later, it's like paper thin. I'm not going to rip it out in this review because I need to run a few more miles in these shoes, despite my opinion of them, but if you look up reviews that actually do rip this inside out, you're going to see it's very thin. But usually, because I have sensitive feet, I gravitate towards shoes with thicker soles. So, Nike Odysseys were the shoes I had before this, for example. And I picked up these, hoping for a similar feel. So, I'm going to give them a thumbs up on being soft, because they are quite soft. They're quite plush. The ride is very plush. And simultaneously, I would say these shoes don't lose responsiveness because of it. They don't feel like you're high off the ground like old Hokas used to. Like when you're running in these shoes, you feel like there's a very wide foot position on the ground. They feel very planted. They feel very responsive. I like that about this shoe. To give you an idea of some things I've done in this shoe to kind of fit my example here, I've run a 5K in them, like almost every day. I've run a sub 20-minute 5K in these shoes in particular, which I was surprised I could actually do comfortably in these. And also I've run like a 1:46 half marathon in these shoes. So in that regard, they're kind of do-it-all shoes. I wouldn't say they're the best at a 5K. You can pick up a bigger or better shoe for a 5K, and you can also pick up a better shoe for a half marathon. But if you're looking for a shoe that can do both, I would certainly recommend the Rincon 2's, even though I'm a little bit late to this because the Rincon 3's are out. Now next is where I'm going to knock this shoe a bit, and I'm only going to knock it as a for me thing. See, I think this is a great shoe, but for me, I want more stability. What I mean by this is while these shoes feel very sprightly and responsive, they don't quite feel stable under my feet all of the time. Now, maybe that's an effect of me having bad running form, or maybe that's an effect of me weighing more than a runner should. But all I'm saying is while I don't roll my ankle all the time in these shoes, when I finish a run, sometimes I have a little bit of ankle pain. And that's not something I used to have in shoes. It's kind of a this shoe specific thing. Or maybe I'm just getting older and my next pair of shoes I'm also going to have ankle pain in. So while I'm not saying that I couldn't do a track session in this, or a half marathon in this, or really anything I wanted to in this and walk away from it just fine, I am saying that if I wore a different shoe for that same workout, my feet would probably feel a little bit better. So anyways, day-to-day usage is what I'm really going to give this shoe points for. As I said, this was my running shoe for the better part of 350 miles. I used it on track days, as I said. I used it for a half marathon that was actually a pretty decent time, not a PB, but a good time. I used it for a sub 25K, and I used it for everything in between, from trail running to hard-packed dirt to runs in the snow, and it didn't let me down. It had enough traction for the sloppy conditions and the trails and such, and also it was planted enough and stable enough, even though I knocked it on that, and plush enough for me to get my mileage in and to do racing really with it. I think what I'm trying to get at is, if you're a person that does 30 to 50 miles of training a week like I do, this shoe's probably fine as a do-it-all shoe. Now, I've had better do-it-all shoes in the past. The Saucony Kinvara is a great example of that, and I might go back to that next, but I don't think this is in any way a bad example of do-it-all shoe, especially given it has a fairly low price tag at $115 new, and I think the Rincon 3 is not going too far above that. So if this is any example, I would surely check out the Rincon 3, and I might actually end up doing that. We'll see what's on the market once I'm done with these. So my biggest gripe with this shoe is wear and tear. Essentially what I'm getting at is there's wear in the heel, there's wear on the insole, and there's a little bit of wear on the bottom of the shoe. So while the heel wearing away is not uncomfortable by any measure, aesthetically it's not great, and it makes me worry about how many more miles I have to go until this heel actually becomes a problem and I have to start doing something to take care of this issue or just toss the shoe out. Additionally, while when I first got the shoe, the hard plastic parts of the sole and the softer parts of the sole, they had some texture to them. That texture is now worn away almost completely at almost 350 miles. And even normal running in a somewhat damp environment can occasionally feel hazardous. So additionally, the insole is quite worn. While they were on the lower end of price, wearing out like this at 350 miles, kind of worried about what they'd look like in another 100 miles. So this brings me to the final part of this review. Are these shoes for me? And I'm gonna go ahead and just say no. I don't think I'm gonna go ahead and get them again. While I need a do-it-all shoe, because I'm not getting shoes sent to me, and I'm certainly no money bags running around buying every shoe in town, I don't think this is the right do-it-all shoe. When you're paying $115 for it to be lesser than it was when you bought it at just 350 miles, I'm not a big fan of that. Additionally, because I've had such better luck with other brands, I'm kind of inclined to go out and check out another brand for running shoes. Now, it's not to say these aren't good. The combination of responsive and plush you get with these shoes is fairly unique. I felt this shoe was fairly unique. It felt more plush than my Nike Odyssey, and probably more responsive, and also has a really nice wide toe box, which I appreciate. But I still think that for my money, I'm going to go elsewhere. So in short, I think Hoka One One did a good job of delivering a responsive plush shoe at a reasonable price. Now, regardless of the wear and tear, I think there's some benefit to that, and I'll surely check out future iterations of this shoe going forward. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this review. I thought I'd do a 350-mile review of this shoe because not many people on YouTube do long-term reviews like that. Most people do 50 to 100 miles, and there's nothing wrong with that really, but I thought I'd give you my opinions after 350 miles. And if you agree with them, please comment down below your agreement. Tell me what I got wrong. Tell me what you agree with. And if you disliked, well, you're going to do it anyway, so I'm not going to tell you what to do. Yeah, hope you enjoyed, and leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you want to. Have a good one.